Okay, we're in.
We're
in. Done. Cool. So, thanks heaps for coming on board for doing this with us, mate. It's awesome to have you in. So we were talking before about the Trans Tasman and just what it's been like over the last 2 or 3 weeks since it's all finished. How's it been for you?
Yeah, it was particularly hard to go back to, I guess, a normal routine straight after a tournament like that. Took me probably a week. A lot of reflection, I guess, a lot of thinking, although we'd finished the tournament, a lot of hindsight thinking, what if we did this, and learning from the experience. So
what are some of the things that came out of that, do you think, personally for you?
Yeah, a lot. I guess
the whole mishmash of ideas just flowing down.
Yeah, it was a lot to reflect on. Everything from leadership style to did we get the team right, did we have the partnerships right. I guess a lot of reflection was on that last game because we were the only to win the series. So yeah, just reflecting on that, why did we feel like we got into a bit of a hole in the field? Like it was a lot of reflection on what happened in that final game, I think, mainly.
Yeah.
So
what were some of your answers to that, do you think? So, you felt like you're in a bit of a hole?
Yeah, so Australia stepped it up another notch in that last game, and we knew that was going to come because they went for the experienced team. A lot of those players have played World Cup finals a number of times, and they just know how to execute in those final games. I just don't think we met them. We we definitely didn't score enough runs. We're aiming for 70-80 was competitive for a final and defendable versus Australia. I think we ended up on 50 odd, so probably not enough runs. And then with the ball, we just didn't execute our plans as much as we had in the previous 2 games. We bowled too short, we made it too easy. And so a lot of reflection was like, how do we step up in finals? Because unfortunately we didn't in 2014 World Cup versus Australia, and we weren't able to succeed in Trans Tasman either. So yeah, we're trying to figure it out. A lot of there's a bit of the mental side, dealing with pressure. It's not just another game, it is a final, so how do we step it up in a final situation? A lot of question marks that we're looking to answer over the next 12 months.
One of the things for me after watching both you guys and the men's in particular, you guys were really on a similar path, actually, and against 2 Aussie sides that were also on similar path to each other, the men's and the women's Aussie girls and guys. Yeah. And I sort of wonder whether it's that last hurdle. It's the finding out how to beat the best, and you need to be in those situations, obviously, to try and find a way through. Much like, and I've used this analogy before, but the Ireland versus the All Blacks, never won for 90 odd years or whatever, but they've finally found a way to get across, the best side in the world at the time and get over that hurdle of beating, not just in a test match, but in where it really matters, and it's there for the trophy. Yeah. But it's interesting what you're saying about your bowling, because often when the fielding's in that hole and maybe not going so well, it's usually because the bowlers aren't hitting their areas and aren't quite executing long enough, often enough. And maybe you might get a good over here and a good over there, but consistently over after over, really continually building that pressure up. And at test level, that doesn't mean wickets. That often means just the dots and the ones and not letting them get the momentum on you, right?
Yeah. So we've done a bit of analysis, I guess, across the 5 games, and it's really interesting because we believe bowling and fielding was our strength versus Australia in that Trans Tasman. Unfortunately, we didn't play to our potential with the bat. And super interesting that we averaged about 36 dot balls a game, which is 6 overs. So essentially we were only scoring off 10 of the overs, which is a huge difference when you're trying to bank runs against Australia. We didn't get out nearly as much as they did. So I think from memory we got out 37 times across 5 games.
Okay.
Australia got out 53.
Wow.
So, and they still won. So it's fascinating that that dot ball play became really important then, because they were obviously scoring more off balls that we weren't, despite going out 16 times more than us. So yeah, really fascinating stats, and I think our team really reacts well to those cold hard facts when they're put in front of them, and they're quite easy to process.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be looking at that a bit more on how we can convert those dot balls. But going back to bowling, yeah, we just missed the mark in that last game, unfortunately. I don't know if we were tired, and I don't mean physically tired, because I believe the girls were really fit. I think mental fatigue played a really big part.
I agree.
In that.
I thought the fitness was fantastic.
Yeah.
In the girls' side, absolutely.
Yeah. So whether playing 5 games in a row for some players is achievable at that level, because it is a massive mental, like, fitness, I guess. It's not really fitness, but you've got to have huge mental capacity to play in a test match 5 in a row. So that's an area we'll be working on.
Yeah.
So I know Tasha's got some plans around that, which would be awesome.
Sure. So you really, upon reflection, you feel like some of the players were underdone on preparation, do you think? Or, because my understanding is you guys trained your asses off before that Trans Tasman, all of you.
Yeah,
like Tash was really impressed with how much hard work had been put in.
In 12 weeks, absolutely. But again, how much did we concentrate on that mental side of it? I think if we're pretty honest with ourselves, I think we probably underdid that side of the game.
Right.
Which is where Aussie has an advantage over us. They've played so many finals and won.
Yeah.
They've also got that mongrel in them when it comes to final games that they really, really, really want it. And they came full blowing noise at us.
They don't like losing, man.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And we wounded them a little bit.
Yeah, I think
and they
so.
came back absolutely fighting.
I'd wondered whether you'd actually ended a couple of their careers, and I mean that with a lot of respect, because I have nothing but respect for the Aussie girls, especially. I love watching them play. I think they've had some of the most dominant players of all time. I think Jude Coleman is probably the most influential player of all time in all indoor cricket, men's and women's. She's just been amazing. She knows I've said that too. She got a bit. She got a bit embarrassed about it. But look, I don't say that lightly. They've had some absolute superstars on that side. But with respect, they are heading towards that twilight end of amazing careers, and it just comes up to coming up against the young guns. I guess you guys, at that sort of stage your team's at, where you've got some girls who are really in a quality position, age-wise, talent-wise, fitness-wise.
Yeah.
And now even more so international cricket awareness. It just keeps building up, and the more you play, right?
Yeah,
so that when you do come up into those big situations, who's to say maybe you need to lose one of those big games to win one? They said that about the Black Caps in 15 when we lost the World Cup, that it would take to lose one to win one, and we didn't lose the second one.
I guess we didn't.
Oh, I mean it. We didn't lose it.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other insights that you can talk to us about? Do you think some real interesting stuff that came out?
I think the biggest one is that a challenge the New Zealand women's team has always had is belief in winning versus Australia. And I think this is a real positive that's come out of the campaign, is that I guess with a new look team, a younger team, we didn't have that preconceived idea of Australia, I guess, and the girls were really up for it and believed it. I think in the past we possibly feared Australia a lot and maybe didn't respect them, and I think we've flipped that on its head, and we really respect them because they're world champions for a number of years, but we don't fear them anymore, which is a really it's a position we hadn't been in before.
Sure.
I think that came through in that although we had 2 quite unsuccessful games, the first 2 games, we came back in the third and smashed them out of the park. Keeping Australia to 31 runs is almost unheard of, and then to be able to confidently go in and get that score
feat. They came at you hard too, man. They were always going to.
Yeah. So, and then to back it up with a really close game in that 4th game, which which are the ones that you really want to win, right? The really close ones that come down to it. So we've taken a lot of belief out of that tour, which is awesome. It's hard to talk to people that, I guess, don't know the history of cricket, because when you tell them you lost the series but you won 2 games and it hasn't happened in 30 years, they slightly get to understand how you felt, I guess, coming out of that tournament. But we understand we haven't won anything yet, so World Cup is our big target now.
So let's talk about the history. So I know that Rocky Nicholson and Tash were very big on really representing or presenting the history of women's cricket, being 30 years since the first test. What are some of the things that you really stood out for you that they brought together and showed you guys?
Yeah, so during our lead-up camp here in Auckland, we had a couple of practice games, which they invited past players to. So that was awesome to get that kind of past player community around our game. It obviously allowed them all to have a drink together as well, which they were pretty keen for. We got a couple of past players to come and talk to us as well, which was awesome. And they started a memorial trophy, which I think was outstanding piece of work that they did behind the scenes, which was in memory of one of the players from the 1989 team, which was the first year women's cricket had an international game versus Australia, or series. So that was in the memory of Tish. And her family actually came up from Tauranga, her sister, and presented it to us, which was really, really special, super emotional, and kind of gave us an insight into the history of the game, because, to be honest, I didn't know about that 1989 team, so that was really special to learn a bit about them.
So this is cool, because you're talking about my era when I first started playing indoor was all around that time,
right?
And I remember Tish, and she was actually good friends with Wanda, her sister, who came down. So she was all around the scene when I was sort of growing up and coming up as a kid. And I remember Tish. I never met her. I was around her, but I never met her. But I do remember watching her play for Auckland, and she was outstanding. She was super quick bowler. Some would say with a slightly bent arm, but she was a super quick bowler. Dominated with the ball. She would rival. So she'd be the quickest in the New Zealand team now, easy, by a long stretch. And she was just so super dynamic in the field, great batter. She just had all the gifts, man. She was amazing, and I'm sure Rocky and the girls would probably be able to give you a lot more insights into her and that. But I especially really remember. And I remember when she died too. It was a horrible time. I remember Wanda when she was around, and I think indoor cricket was one of those safe places for her that she could get back into and around friends and just be around the whānau and the family that she had in indoor cricket, and just give her some sort of sense of peace. But just an incredible player, and she was. I'm really honoured that trophy's been brought up in her name, and it was really cool to see Wanda and getting the photos taken and that. And it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I think she loved getting around us as well. Had a few photos.
She's hard case,
awesome.
man.
Yeah,
she's a
awesome.
hard case lady.
I think it really helped because it made us play for something bigger than the game, which was really important as well. And understanding that it is a real privilege to play for New Zealand and to really kind of be there in the moment in the time that you play, because you don't know when it be taken away from you, essentially. So that was really special. Whenever we felt like we were swaying away from what we were trying to achieve, we just get a reminder, like, play for Tish kind of thing, which was awesome for our team. And considering it went to one of our young guns, Sky, which was outstanding. Sounds like she would almost be the replica of Tish, to be fair. Fast, dynamic, everywhere in the field, an absolute gun. So that it was awesome that it was Sky. It's sort of one of the reasons, the motivations behind me doing this podcast was because I've come from an era of players that have sort of, I don't want to say long forgotten, but they're not known about.
by the current crop of players, and it's grown more than just thinking about the current international players or the current Super League players or anything like that, but it's for all lovers of indoor cricket that are playing now and in-house down at Saints or at Harbour or Central or whatever, that might be able to, you know, listen to this or watch this and get an understanding of some past great players that have really helped invent this game, the pioneers of our sport. You know, and there's only a handful of people around now that would even remember that period back then. There's a couple of guys still playing now, recently a couple of guys that are still playing in Masters that I know for a fact the Premier guys I don't know anything about, but they don't know what they've achieved and who they were. I do. And it's really important to understand, I think, where the sport's been and where it's come from and the stories those guys have got, because they're similar to the stories you've got now and I've got, but they're different, and they played the sport so much harder then. Different balls.
Yeah, I didn't want to play. I've heard some stories. I don't want to play back then. I've heard some stories about how hard that ball is, and just the toughness of. And so were the girls. Was tough back then.
The ladies were super tough, super aggressive. Dominant, the dominant girls, the bigger figures, and on the court were usually the winners, and the girls that really took it on and were quite full on with it. Usually the
I
real
would have liked
talented
to play
ones.
when you didn't have to run. That would have been a good era, eh?
Yeah, what's up with that rule?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't like the rule where you get caught for hesitation on a strike 3.
Ah, right. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why you get out for hesitation. I want someone to explain that to me. I think that they might have brought it in to stop people just not running.
Yeah, true. And
but then you just be out anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
But maybe you have to leave the crease and you can't go back. But you can hesitate if you want to hesitate. I don't get that rule.
No,
I don't know.
I've never.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not. I'm glad the strike 3 rules in though. It does make the game a lot more interesting. But it was back in the day where you had a harder ball. You had the pivots and the Maccas back in the day that were just a lot harder, and they were harder to bounce. So, you know, down-ups weren't even part of our game over here, and the ball was hit flatter, so there was more opportunities for outs if you were game enough to keep your eye on the ball when it was being hit at you. And, you know, there was more blocking back then that wasn't called. You know, it just seemed to be just that roughness and that hardness. But in with all of that, you had these super quality, talented players with really, really good skills, and they weren't all, you know, great outdoor players that came into indoor. These were specialised indoor cricket player skills, you know, that, you know, weren't really adaptable into outdoor cricket back then, if you know what I mean. They were just really good for indoor to play as indoor cricketers.
Right.
And so that was one of the motivations of this whole podcast, was to try and get guests on and of yesteryear, you know, that can tell their stories and see some of the differences. You know, like Keith Anoka, who's now coaching the ladies New Zealand Masters side, and he's in South Africa now. You know, I'll be sitting down with him at some stage, and his brother Wayne, who was, you know, in the top 5 of New Zealand players of all time. None of these guys know who he is. You know, like just amazing. And at 17, he made the New Zealand world side, playing in a series against Australia. He was the only Kiwi. You know, like amazing stuff. And, you know, it doesn't just stop with the men. Obviously, there's a lot of the women. Antoinette Spain, you know, Tash Williams, who, you know, we've spoken about already. Shame she lives in Australia, but I'll probably have to take a trip over at some stage and see her. Yeah, so it's been really cool to bring some of those names out. Yeah, hey, so let's talk about you. Let's talk about when you started. What year, whereabouts were you when you first started saw indoor cricket?
I actually played probably when I was maybe 10 or 12. Oh, wow. Yeah, I was a real young starter. So I started at actually Royal Oak.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
At Royal Oak. Yeah. So ages ago, I started with the boys, and then I moved into a girls team because our kind of Cornwall Cricket Club had a girls team that played indoor. Went away for a couple of junior nationals down to Wellington, which was always a lot of fun. And then moved to Manukau to play Super League with the Manukau ladies.
Is that when Royal Oak closed?
I'm not entirely sure, because I did come and play at Central after Royal Oak closed. And then because they didn't have a women's or Premier Women's grade here, I moved to Manukau, and that was under Tash, Sharky.
Yeah.
Paul Knight was looking after the teams back then, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Then from there, progressed. I guess the first time I played international cricket was the 2008 Trans Tasman here in Auckland. I captained the under-19 girls team.
Yeah.
And then progressed from there into the women's side.
Yeah. So so what introduced you to indoor though? Like when?
I think I was just playing club cricket
outdoor.
Yeah, because I played club cricket and outdoor since I was 5. I was the only girl in all the boys' teams.
Awesome.
I pretty much just followed whatever my older brothers did, so that's why I ended up in cricket.
Yeah.
And then I guess I can't remember back then, but I assume someone put a team in and just asked if I wanted to play, and that's how I got along. And then just continued because I did also play soccer in the winter season, so when I was younger, but also played cricket, so I just got amongst everything.
Yeah. And what are some of the focuses you had early on, like to make yourself really good? So at what stage were you just like one of the team, and then you sort of recognise that actually I could get really good at this? You remember when that sort of happened, that period?
I guess during the Tri-Series, we used to have Tri-Series, so played for Northern, and playing, with the likes of Tash and those great players back then, and against, the Kim Minogues, the Leah Tuhus, and Canterbury. I guess I just always wanted to strive to play with them in New Zealand team. So I got to play Colts or under-19s, which was an awesome experience, but always kept, had an eye on the women's team.
Sure.
So I guess just aligning myself with those players and making sure I just worked really hard on those skills to eventually buy my time to get into the women's game. I don't think there was a specific moment. I just think I've always been determined to make the women's team.
And so what sort of things were you working on? Like what did you do? Hourly sessions by yourself, just working on things, or would you usually get someone along and train, or what are some of the things you focused on to get better?
Yeah, I think during 2008, 2009, leading up to those Junior World Cups that I went to, probably dominantly mostly team trainings. I did do some one-on-ones, but not a lot. To be honest, haven't got a great memory going back 10 years, but probably just a lot of team trainings. I'm one of those people that just wants, if I want to be good at something, I'll really work hard at it. Yeah. So I'll be doing extras at home. I'll be juggling. I'll be throwing at a target. I'll be doing anything to try and train when I can, which has just always been a trait I've had. Just tried to get as good as I could, as fast as I could.
Are you pure ambidextrous?
Can
you throw right-handed?
Or kind of.
Right.
I could get it to top sticks. It wouldn't have much power behind it.
So you can field ambidextrous quite well when it comes to going to the keeper. Yeah. So throw left-handed, bowl right-handed. I write left-handed. Kind of anything that's a one-handed sport, I'll do with my left hand. So if I play tennis or table tennis, it's left-handed. Okay. But then I think I only bowl right-handed. I swear that's the only thing I do with my right hand. And you bat right-handed
and bat right-handed.
But do you think it's an advantage being left-hand dominant, batting right-handed? Do you feel like you're stronger hands at the top?
Yeah. Probably helps me more in indoor than outdoor.
Yeah. So there was no temptation to bat left-handed or bowl left-handed.
No.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I did bowl left-handed though, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, just something, because you only get one person in a team, and it's always a good variation to have.
Sure.
I don't know. I honestly don't know how that happened.
Outdoor. So you still playing?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you gave that a good nudge though.
Yeah, relatively.
Yeah.
I played all the way up to the end of high school, and then during university I took 3 years off. I just wanted a break from it. But then I definitely knew that I hadn't achieved everything I wanted to, which was to play for the Hearts. Yeah. So I came back in with the goal to play for the Hearts, which I was able to do, which was awesome. Yeah. Played a few seasons with them, and then went overseas. And when I came back from going overseas for 6 months, I just decided I didn't really have the passion for it anymore, which was a really honest conversation I kind of had with myself.
Yeah.
But I knew it was the right one.
Right.
Yeah. But was not going to give up.
It's a long, hard slog for, and I've got so much admiration for the ladies who are playing first class cricket who are fringe, who would need to do a lot of hard work to be able to get into the White Ferns periphery, and may not ever get that chance. But just keep going and then give their time, and the contracts are getting a little bit better, but they're still just nowhere near where they need to be to make it really viable to go, you know what, I'm going to throw my whole life and my whole passion at cricket and try and make a go of it, Like for first class cricket here, it's even hard, men's. It's even hard to make it just a full-time gig for yourself. You need to have that job in the winter and, still allow your times to train in off-season or go overseas on a contract if you're good enough, and those sort of things. But for the female cricketer, especially at that level, hard days. It's really tough.
Yeah, they do a lot of work. Like you got to hold down a full-time job and then go train team trainings twice a week plus the club training. So you're training 3 nights after work. You got to also slot in your strength and conditioning, and then you're away playing all weekend. So it's a huge commitment. And the girls are awesome that continue to do it and strive for it. I
mean, they get a lot out of it too, right? There's a lot of take out of it. Like the Hearts are in Tasmania at the moment, right? On a trip over there for pre-season. I mean, what a cool experience. And but again, it's time away from that job maybe that is keeping you alive and keeping food on the table and all the rest. So it's a big commitment to be able to do it without those more solid contracts that I hope one day come through for everyone, really, to make it viable full-time 12 months a year to be able to do it.
That would be awesome.
That would. It would be pretty cool. So outdoor cricket, no more. So how many years has it been now that you've been out of it?
I think this is my 3rd season.
3rd year, right?
3rd year.
And you're missing it?
No. Which means it was the right decision.
Right, fair enough. So I gave up it's been about 7 seasons ago now. I still miss it. I still miss bowling and miss batting and that sort of thing. Don't miss the training so much and the long fielding sessions in the field. But I still miss it. But I think it's helpful for us because we've got that indoor cricket
I'm
fix.
Still getting my fix.
Right?
Competitive fix,
that's right. And it takes it easy on the body and, you're probably not committing so much time in the winter as well, right?
Yeah, it was difficult the first season because you realised if you wanted to go do something, you call up your friends and they're all playing cricket still.
Sure.
So and then, you wanted to be around the team, and I love being part of teams and part of team culture. So, the first season was difficult, admit, but
So, leading into next year for indoor, what's the plan? So the tour's coming up, I can't remember the dates, April, is it? It's before we start, isn't it?
Tour?
Have you guys got a tour?
No, just the men's
just the men's going away. So post pre-World Cup, what have you got plans laid out for any of that? What's happening?
So the aim is to just try and get together as much as we can as a wider squad, which is the aim. So rough kind of plans going in place at the moment, but nothing set in stone. Hopefully get together maybe 3 or 4 times before we go away, which would be good. And to play some real hard cricket is the big thing we want to do, playing some hard games, making sure that our provincials tournament is really hard cricket and everyone's coming super prepared to that tournament is the main focus,
Okay. And so Tasha's laid out all the plans, ready to go.
Yeah, she's pretty organised.
No, I can imagine. Any thoughts of maybe getting a men's team together to play against you and get some games together that way?
Hadn't thought about it.
So I know a lot of the Aussie ladies, they play Super League men's cricket and that sort of thing, and get themselves involved in that. And got to think it's one of the reasons why they get better and they're stronger and they're used to that faster bowling and high quality spinners and that sort of thing.
Yeah, not a bad idea actually.
With I had an interesting conversation a few weeks ago about the future of indoor cricket, and there's definitely some murmurings around the fact that spin could soon become king in indoor cricket.
Yeah, right.
And that made me think straight away, because I know in outdoor cricket, spin's king.
Yeah.
Good if you're a good spinner in ladies outdoor cricket, you're gonna go well.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe that could definitely become something could become quite powerful in indoor cricket for women?
Yeah, 100%. I think females generally struggle to play spin.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Indoor and outdoor. There's a couple of young players coming through the ranks that are spin bowlers, which is really promising for our future of the game, which is awesome. And I think, if I'm going to be honest, off the back of Mealy Kerr, I think she's made spin bowling a real attractive option for female bowlers. And there's a lot of young girls coming up through the ranks that are aspiring to be spin bowlers, which is awesome.
That's cool.
You see it more and more. Before, it was quite rare. You might have one or two, but there's definitely a whole lot more coming through, which is awesome.
Yeah, the pathway for indoor cricket, ladies indoor cricket into outdoor cricket is amazing. Like, you speak to Robbie Kerr about it, and there's a definite pathway there. And his daughter's obviously shown that. Both his daughters have shown that successful sort of outdoor cricketers, and the likes of Tash Vince Hilberg and those girls who are sort of around that New Zealand scene, indoor cricket wise at the moment, are really good outdoor cricketers at first class level, looking to make that next leap. You think about Tash in particular, and Sky as well, the experience they've gained at an international level playing against the best of the best in a sport.
Yeah. All
of that experience in another sport is just going to be invaluable to them, right?
Absolutely. I think that's probably one of the huge benefits of playing indoor cricket is the constant pressure you get to play under, whether at nationals or international level. It's constant all the time, which will no doubt be valuable at that next level. Just a shame we can't keep them. That's our challenge.
Never say never.
Talent gets swept up, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because we've had some great players come through our New Zealand team that are now in cemented spots in the Whiteburns, which is awesome. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So one of the bigger changes for you, I think, for this year in the New Zealand team is that you're now captain. Yeah. So talk to me through that transition or changes you've had to make, if any, or how you've found that whole leadership part.
Yeah, I love leading the side at Trans Tasman. I think I personally play better when I've got a leadership role to play. And nothing to take away from Regina. She's an awesome captain as well, and she's an awesome vice captain, and we get on really, really well. So I love having her across at leg side to bounce ideas off often in the middle of the game. Just to have her support there is awesome. But yeah, it's a huge honour to lead that team. Something that I don't take lightly, but I really enjoy it. Yeah.
So if we look at in contrast in 2014, what are some of the differences that you've seen in yourself as a player? I know it's a while ago, but can you remember 4 years ago? 5 years?
Not really. Yeah, different. I was debuting in 2014 for the women's team, so that was probably my main concern, was just performing well and staying on the court. I did lead a couple of games back then when Kim and Leah were rested, which gave me a really good opportunity to lead the side.
Okay.
I don't particularly I think I've learned a lot since then. And I've taken confidence from leading provincial sides to then leading the New Zealand side this season, which has been awesome. Yeah, I love it. I really do love it.
One of the keys about leading is making you a better player. So the very rare opportunities where I have to captain Harbour, and I mean I have to.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me a better player.
Right.
If anything, my concerns go all, or my focuses all go onto the team and the position. It's just I love being a leader of a group, and being one of the leaders in a group and decision making and that sort of thing. But when it comes to actual captaincy on the court and all that, I mean, we've got guys better in the team that can do it and can handle it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I used to think that I'd want to be a captain, and once I'd done it, I captained Auckland 1 year, and it went okay, but it wasn't brilliant. But I stepped back, and I sort of really felt like that wasn't a role that I should really try and pursue.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes in behind it. There's a lot of responsibility that people don't see goes in behind it as well. So, you know, I think you do. It's a really good thing that you've said that you think that you're a better player.
Yeah, I think I don't. I think less about my game and more about my team, which helps me play better.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, so
okay.
I relax more when I'm thinking about other things tactically
Right.
or players.
So you think it helps,
it
clears your thoughts on your own game a little bit? You just know your job and you've got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay.
Yeah. So for me, that helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that would. Yeah. Yeah, see, I'm completely different. Mine gets cluttered up.
Right, yeah.
I think I've got to do something special as a captain or something like that. I don't know. I get away with it for Harbour. It's just, you know, it's club, it's Super League, you know, it's not high level, but yeah, I don't know. I like being in the team meetings, make sure I'm selected, and I make the 8.
First name on the paper.
Yeah, well, yeah. Only in batting order though.
Yeah, right.
It's not because I'm first. But yeah, just that whole leadership thing, and plus, you know, we've got a captain at the moment who's just exemplary. Probably the best captain I've ever played for and played with, and you know, just the way that he runs our guys around and leads, and the way that we operate as a team's, you know, really cool fun. It's actually really interesting, and it's quite exciting, you know. Yeah. What are some of the things with the mental approach? So, do you do much work mentally on indoor cricket at all, and what you do, like meditation or anything like that?
I'm not a consistent meditator.
Right.
I do believe in it.
Yeah.
I probably haven't slotted it into my routine as much as I should. I visualize quite a lot, and it's not really sit down and visualize. Like, I don't really set a time to do it. I guess it just kind of will float into my mind, and I'll let it kind of go, and I'll feel the emotion of it. So, which was an interesting one, because I always thought it had to be a structured visual, like you sit down and visualize how you're going to face the ball, or what it feels to win a game, or that kind of stuff. But for me, it kind of would just come across me. I'd be sitting on the train and I'd just be thinking about cricket, because it's often what I do leading up to the Trans Tasman, and then just get kind of caught up in my thoughts and really visualise what was happening on court. And I talked to Tash about it, which was awesome, because she could share her visualisation with me. But I clear as day saw us winning a game versus Australia, and that emotion of winning it is what I could feel, which was really important, because if you can feel it and believe it, it almost is real, which was awesome. So going into that series, I just knew we were going to win a game, because I'd seen it so clear as day in my head. Yeah, which was great.
Yeah,
got me better. But yeah, I just saw it clear as day. It's nothing I've taught myself to do. It's kind of just come across. I guess just because I think about it a lot, those emotions just come into it. Yeah,
I remember. It might have been after that second game, the second test we won, and like, I don't know Natasha at all, Van Tilburg at all, but you know, obviously we've seen each other around Super League traps and that sort of thing. But I just remember seeing her face, and I went up to her and just said, "Hey mate, that's really well done." But she just had this look of belief but disbelief, if you know what I mean, on her face. It was just like, oh my God, how the hell have we just done this? You know, and it was just this amazing feeling, and it was a really cool look on their face. And then when you guys left the stadium that night, you guys had this just look of, you know, it's not finished yet. You know, there's just this real sense of it was almost in the eyes. The eyes don't lie, and when you look in the eyes, it was just this. You know, we're tired, we're buggered, but we're going to be ready for tomorrow for that next game, that big one. And it was an interesting.
Photos from that game actually of VT as well. She's pretty amped up in those photos, which is awesome. But yeah, I agree. I think we were on this massive high after that game. It took me a long time to get to sleep that night. It was awesome. The amount of support we got after those wins was phenomenal from the community, like the indoor community. My phone was blowing up. Tasha's phone was blowing up. It was awesome. You know, people you hadn't talked to for a while just be like, that was one heck of a game. So that was pretty special. that was really
Yeah,
special.
it was. Yeah, so I was in the hot seat for that with the commentary. It was so cool, best seat in the house, and it was amazing, man. Like let alone how the men went, but you guys were just the stars of the show. I don't say this lightly either. I thought you guys were the better side. It felt like well, if it wasn't for that performance, it sort of wasn't quite on the mark for that last big game. But everyone really believed that you guys had what it took. Yeah. They were always going to step up. There's a couple of girls who hadn't played that well in that whole series, but really stepped it up in that last game as well because they had to. I think they felt probably their careers might have been on the line, and they might not get another shot again, and that sort of thing. You guys put a huge amount of pressure on them still.
Yeah, it was an awesome game.
Yeah.
And then, I had to bowl that last over, so that was it was an awesome. That's what you want, right? You want the ball in the last over to give your team the opportunity to win. Which is pretty special. And to be honest, like we drove down to Palmerston North from Auckland as a team, so we did some team building activities along the way, and a lot of strategy work in the van actually with whiteboards and whatever, talking about what if scenarios. And it was fascinating. We talked about what if they need 3 off the last ball. Like they did need 4 in that last game, but what if they need 3? What if they need 7? What if?
Yeah.
And we nutted over what if they need 3 for a really long time, which was, and in hindsight, amazing, because then it came into the game situation. Everyone just knew where they needed to be, and it just came off. And it was like, man, like those what if scenarios were so valuable in that ride down because everyone was on the same page, understood what we needed to execute, where we needed to bowl, where the fielders needed to be, and what we had to do once they hit the ball. So it like all came into plan, which was like super sweet because we just walked off going, oh my God, it came to plan. Like everything we talked about was awesome.
Tash, I love Tash. She's a very good friend of mine. I've got a huge amount of respect for her. But she took this coaching job on without having even a training session with you guys. In person. Like she told me at the hotel after breakfast one morning. We caught up together, and she said I hadn't been over for one session. It was all basically Skype talks, and you guys were training in groups around the country anyway, so you knew what you needed to achieve. Yeah. And she just trusted that it was all happening, and have you found Tash? What do you think some of the things that she's brought? Yeah,
she's awesome. She was like Big Brother at our training sessions, so she would Skype in. Yeah. So she was watching, and she would call when things were not right. So you kind of like were always a little like, you had to be on your game because Big Brother was watching kind of thing. And she would call and be like, that's not good enough. And, you should do it this way, etc., which was awesome. Super organised. The most passionate person I've ever met about indoor cricket. A massive heart. Love for the game and wanting to develop it. And just also has a lot of fun. Like knows how to balance the tough love with having a lot of fun, which is awesome. I guess being a past player, a bit like the men's structure, I guess respect was given straight away because we know what the ones that played with her know what kind of player she was and how hard she worked. So it was awesome to have her back involved with the game.
She works super hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, she was an amazing player. Yeah, and I made a comment to someone when I first watched you guys. I think you might have fielded first in one of the tests that I was commentating on, and I just looked at the whole feel and the vibe of all of you, the 8 girls that were on the court, and all I saw was Tash.
Mini Tashes.
I just saw a whole bunch of mini Tashes running around with all this enthusiasm, this vibe, and you could just see, oh my God, you have just rubbed yourself all over this.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to watch because there's no greater respected leader in indoor cricket than Tash Williams. And you're right, all those things that you've described of her are absolutely bang on. And it's so cool that she's now come back even though she's in another country and she still wants to continue that on, right?
Yeah. She said when we threw the idea at her, she realised that she hadn't finished with New Zealand into cricket, and that it was the right time for her to come back and give back, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Super invaluable, and she's going to continue to set up the women's game to a really high standard, which is awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Cool. Well, I can't wait for the future, that's for sure. You know, next year is a big year for everyone, and the World Cup's going to be on, and even, you know, this next week coming up with the Masters online, everyone's surely going to be watching that. What's your predictions? Have you know too much about what's happening and who's playing, and you keeping up to date with all of that?
Yeah, I guess the over 35s are looking pretty strong for the men's grade. I've had to talk to a few of the guys around nationals, and they're pretty confident in their campaign there.
Yeah, it's 35's got a good chance.
Yeah. You know, I'm always going to back the women, so. But I'm not close enough to the Masters game to know the competition that they're going to come up against. But no doubt they'll give it their all. And they've been working hard, really hard, training every weekend since before provincials. So yeah, they've put a lot of work in, and I believe they've got, you know, Keith at coaching them, which all of them spoke very highly of him and the way he's constructed the team. So, and
his wife is managing it, and she's awesome. She's ruthless, man. She's awesome. You talk about super detailed. Rebecca's she's a pretty amazing lady. So I think they probably work together pretty well as a team.
Awesome.
Which is cool. So looking forward to seeing some results come through. I think we've got a shot for probably 2 trophies. At 2 golds at that World Cup. If we got one of them, I think we'd probably walk away fairly happy. But hopefully it's 2. You never know.
Cool.
We'll see how it comes off. Lulu, thank you so much for joining us. We'll leave it there. Really, really appreciate your time, and I hope we can do this again some stage. And when we get into next season, maybe we'll catch up again. It'll be cool.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Thanks dude.
See ya.
Cheers.